Hello everyone and welcome to the IRL Homeschool Academy. Today is our first day of school and we started today talking about the fallen angels. So we talked about Lucifer, and as we talked about Lucifer, we pulled out the who, what, when, where, why. And Annalise, if I could look at your book really quickly. So we started off and Annalise, actually she drew a picture. Oh, look at that picture. TJ, you want to show me your pictures? But she drew a picture of what we talked about this morning, which was about the angels and the war in heaven. So she drew pictures of the angels.
Who is watching this?
I don't know. And then we, after the story, Annalise wrote down the who, what, when, where, why about the story. So who, we talked about Lucifer. What? Lucifer was kicked out of heaven. When? Well, he was kicked out before the earth was made. Where? He was kicked out from heaven. So where was heaven? Why? Lucifer was jealous of Jesus. And how? There was war in heaven. So that's how that happened. There was war in heaven. And we read about that war in Revelation chapter 12. So then I gave them their spelling words from the story. So heaven, earth, war, who, what, when, where, why, how, rebellion. So I gave them the words and they spelled it the way they thought it should be spelled. And then I showed them the correct spelling. So that's what we're going to be working on for this week. So good job, Annalise, in correcting your work. And now we are relating math. So I kind of wanted to highlight this point because sometimes it's hard to see how we do math in real life. So we were talking about the angels, right? And if you read in Revelation, it talks about the red dragon. And let me go ahead and get that out. So in Revelation chapter 12.
Mom, can I have a book?
Not right now, son.
A book? Not right now, for real?
You know you're going to be on a recording talking about that.
Not right now, for real, Mom?
We're finishing up. Did you finish up writing down the numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is TJ's on. Turn it around. Like, let me see. Turn it this way. So TJ drew a pie. We were talking about fractions. So that's what we're going to focus on based on our lesson today. So we're going to talk about, that's Satan right there. God. So Satan had 1/3 of the angels, but God had the other 2/3. So you actually find that story in Revelation chapter 12, verses 3 and 4. Right? How his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and the stars represent the angels. We know when Jesus was born, the angel was like a star, right? So we just went ahead and did the pie, and I introduced to them fractions. So Satan had 1/3, but God had 1/3 and 1/3. We talked about 1/3. The one is what's the one, guys? The one is in the numerator. Bless you. What is the 3?
Denominator.
The 3 is your denominator. And the 3 is the denominator. So then we said Satan had 1/3, and TJ thought that Satan had more. But Satan had 1/3, but God had 1/3 plus 1/3. So we talked about adding these fractions. So we added the numerators. 1 plus 1 actually gave us 2. Our denominators we don't add. So it stays as 3 because we don't change the pie, right? We didn't change this into 6 parts. It's still 3 parts. So God had 2/3 of the angels. Okay, so that's a lot of angels. So how many did God have, guys? How many angels did God have?
I'm
About 2.
He had how many, Annalise?
He had
we did.
He had 2/3, which made two-thirds.
He had 2/3 of the angels. All right. How many did Satan have, Avion?
We
1/3.
Excellent. And that is
we did.
a summary of what we did today in school. Let's see. All right. That's a summary of what we did today in school. Now, we can extend this a little further depending on how advanced your child is. We can actually figure out how many 1/3 of how many angels. So we can talk about the angels, and we can also introduce place value. But today we're just going to stick with fractions. It's our first day. We're just going to stick with one concept. I'm not going to go into place value with the billions of angels, how many angels there are, and try to calculate 1/3 of those angels. We're not going to go through all of that today, but just wanted to share with you how you can relate math into real life, into what you're doing. All right, everyone say bye.
Bye.